What if God did not make himself known in Jesus? Well, if Jesus hadn't have come, then we'd still be waiting on that first gospel that was preached in Genesis 3 to be fulfilled, where God said the serpent is going to strike your heel, but your descendant, your seed, will crush his head. We'd still be waiting on that one that would crush the serpent's head. When we come to the book of Exodus and we see a great deliverance that God has brought about for his people, we'd still be waiting for our great deliverer. If Jesus had not come, if he was not the image of God in flesh, if he was not God here among us dying for us, then as the book of Numbers says that Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness so all who looked to him would live, we would still be looking for that one that's going to be lifted up that we might have life. We'd still be looking for the promises of Genesis to be fulfilled, of Exodus to be fulfilled, of Numbers to be fulfilled, of Leviticus, the lamb that's slain for our sins. We'd still be offering sacrifices to try to cover over our sins day after day after day. The book of Deuteronomy, we're promised a prophet that would arise like Moses. We'd still be waiting for that prophet, and on and on and on you go. The Davidic covenant, we'd still be awaiting that king whose kingdom would have no end. You see, if Jesus had not come, we would still be awaiting the fulfillment of all of those. If Jesus had not come, we would not have his teachings like the Sermon on the Mount. We would not have his teachings that reiterate the law that says to love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, your mind, your strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. We would not have his works. We would not know the God who walks on the water and looks to the storm and says, sit down and be quiet. And that's what the storm does. We would not see Jesus who tells the lame man to take up your mat and walk. And that's exactly what happens because the creation responds to the Creator. You see, if Jesus was not the image of God, if Jesus had not come, if God had not provided his Son, we would still be awaiting all of the promises of God. But now that we have Jesus, he is the Lamb who was slain before the foundation of the world. He is the prophet that was promised. There's no more sacrificial system because Jesus has fulfilled it. But what I want you to understand is this. Salvation is not because we know of Jesus' teachings. Salvation is not because we have seen him perform miracles. You see, that would be, I'm just trying to live my life that's good, and I believe, Jesus did these things, so he was a good person, so I'm going to try to follow him. That's not salvation. Salvation is that God came and God died. And Jesus, as the image of God, died the death that I owe God for my sins, the debt that I should pay. He took my place. And as the image of God, God died for me. And as I cast myself upon that, not just trying to follow his teachings, not just believing in him as a miracle worker, not even seeing him to some degree as the one who fulfills all the covenants. That's not what saves me. But seeing Christ crucified and risen from the grave and casting myself upon him by faith in the crucified image of God. Am I saved?